So your TDIU application was denied. My name is Ursula McCabe, and I'm a VA accredited attorney, and I work with Hill and Ponton. And VA law is the only kind of law that I've practiced. So what I want to do today is kind of talk you through some of the reasons why your application may have been denied and what some things you can do in order to move forward. So there are a lot of reasons why your application may have been denied. But what I'm going to do today is kind of put them into three different categories and move through them because there are three broad categories on why it could be denied. The first is going to be that you are still working and making over the poverty threshold. The second being that you are working but making under the poverty threshold. And the third is what to do if you are denied if you are no longer working. So when we talk about the first category of you are still working and making over the poverty threshold, these kind of claims are really difficult to grant the benefit for TDIU unless you can show that you were in a sheltered and protected work environment. When you're dealing with this kind of claim where you are still making money and over the poverty threshold, you may want to get an advocate who could really get in there and make the arguments to VA as to why you should be entitled to TDIU under those circumstances. If not, one thing you could always do is wait until you fall below the poverty threshold, or you're no longer working full time, or you are no longer working at all. The second reason you may be denied is that you're still working, but you're still making under the poverty threshold. Now, these ones are a little less complicated than making over the poverty threshold, but what VA is really trying to do when they award the TDIU benefit is saying that because of your service-connected disabilities, you're incapable of substantially gainful employment. And one of those reasons is through not making enough money and essentially being below the poverty threshold. If you find yourself in this kind of situation, you may want to find a VA advocate that can help you argue to the board or to VA on why and how your disabilities prevent you from getting this occupation or substantially gainful employment. Now, a lot of the denials that we see are when veterans are no longer working, and there's several reasons why VA may deny even if you are no longer working and not making any kind of income. So one of the reasons you may have been denied is that you don't meet the scheduler requirements for TDIU. The scheduler requirements and the requirements of TDIU are talked about in one of the other videos in this series and playlist. So I'm not going to go too much into them, but if you don't meet those basic scheduler requirements when it comes to your ratings, VA will typically just deny right off the bat. Now, if you have other claims that are still pending where you're looking for service connected for other conditions, or you're looking for an increased rating of other conditions that may bring you up to that scheduler requirement, it may be a good idea to just kind of hold on to that decision until you do meet those requirements and then refile with VA once you have the correct scheduler ratings and see what happens from there. And from there, if you are granted, that's terrific. If you're not, then you could look at some of the other reasons why you may have been denied. Now, if you do meet the scheduler requirements, but they still deny, this is where we run into a lot more of looking at the individual case and determining exactly why VA decided to deny the TDIU claim. So first of all, when it comes to TDIU, it's not a medical determination, meaning that doctors can't just say, my patient can't work because of this disability. It's actually a decision that's for the adjudicator. And what they do is they take a look in the file and all of the evidence of record, and they make the determination on whether the conditions that you suffer from are causing the inability to be employed. Some things we see is VA adjudicators will say, okay, you know what, we know you're not working, but I don't think it's because of your service-connected disabilities. Instead, it's from disabilities that are non-service connected. It's from a back injury that you got from a car accident 5 years ago and has nothing to do with the conditions that you're service-connected for. In that case, you'd want to look at your service-connected disabilities and really outline in your file the functional limitations that your service-connected disabilities cause for your inability to work outside of the ones that are non-service connected. Sometimes VA, when they issue the decision on the TDIU application, they don't even get very specific. Sometimes it's just a blanket denial that says, we don't think that you're incapable of substantially gainful employment. And when you start looking at those, it's important to take a look in your claims file, in your medical record, take a look at the CMPs and see what all the evidence shows as far as your unemployability. A lot of times, VA, if you have several conditions, some orthopedic, some with your heart, maybe a mental health issue, sometimes VA won't look at all of your conditions together to decide whether or not, as a whole, all of them together cause you to be unemployable. Sometimes they'll just say, well, your back hurts and you can't lift, but you could still sit for a job. However, your mental health condition may limit your ability to work with other people and to be able to go into an office environment. So it's important to make sure that VA is looking at the whole picture of your disabilities and whether or not combined they're making it so that you're unable to work. So one thing that we do as advocates for veterans when it comes to these claims is that we'll take a look at the whole claims file and look at all this evidence that's in there. And we have access to vocational experts. Now, vocational experts are different than medical experts, and they can take information that's in the file and talk about functional limitations and make a professional determination on whether or not a veteran is able to work due solely to the service-connected disabilities. So when you find yourself kind of stuck in this loop with VA, you may want to look at getting an advocate who has access to these types of resources for you in order to get your claim approved and for you to get the benefits that you're entitled to. Additionally, try to get evidence in your record that doesn't just talk about because of hearing loss, the veteran can't work. Instead, try to have limitations put in there, such as because the veteran can't hear people on the phone, they would have a hard time working in customer service. Or because the veteran has this back condition, he's unable to sit and stand, and sitting for 8 hours can't be done. Or because of his heart condition, he's easily fatigued and would need to lay down for a nap every single day. So the difference is not just saying my heart makes it so that I can't work. It's about the limitations that your heart provides that make it so that you can't work. So really try to get as much of that kind of evidence in your file as necessary. And once you have all that, keep these on appeal and keep it going. TDIU is a great benefit for veterans that are unable to work, especially due to their service-connected disabilities, not just for the TDIU, but also for all the other benefits that come around with being rated or as a 100% TDIU veteran. So if you want to take a look at some of the other videos by my colleagues, and especially to see if you even qualify for TDIU, go ahead and click this video right here, and that'll take you to some of the other videos that we've done.